Welcome to the Public Gems podcast, where we do deep dives into some truly fascinating movies and shows.
Yeah, we dig through the sources, the history, the stories behind them.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into a real gem from, well, the golden age of B-movies, maybe. The 1960 American horror comedy, The Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, this one's a classic. And not just any old movie, right? It's such a wild example of creativity under, extreme pressure.
Totally. It's this dark farce, but it's got layers. And it's the origin story for this whole phenomenon that's lasted for decades, multiple versions.
For sure. So our mission today, we're going to unpack that lightning-fast production, how it actually got made.
Right, and get into the quirky characters, the plot that just keeps escalating.
And really look at how it just defied all the odds to become this huge cult classic.
It's proof that sometimes the weirdest little ideas kind of grow into something massive.
Absolutely. So where do we start? Roger Corman, right? King of low-budget filmmaking.
Yeah, Corman, legendary for being efficient, let's call it efficient. He had access to these sets left over from A Bucket of Blood, another film he'd just done.
But only for 2 days.
Yeah.
Like temporary access, 2 days.
Exactly. And that incredibly tight window that basically forced the whole rapid production, it created this urgency.
And that energy, you really feel it in the film, don't you? It's got this almost anarchic vibe.
Mm-hmm. And there's that rumor, some people deny it, but the story goes that the shoot, just 2 days filming after only 3 days rehearsal, was because Corman made a bet.
A bet he can make a whole movie that fast. Wow.
Yeah. But then you hear from Jackie Joseph, who played Audrey.
Right, Audrey Fulcord.
She remembered it differently. She said Corman was actually racing the clock against new industry rules about actor residuals.
Yeah, the ongoing payments.
Yeah.
Those were coming in January 1st, 1960.
And they would have completely torpedoed his usual low-budget way of doing things, so he literally squeezed this film in right before the deadline.
So was it a bet or just hardcore financial planning?
Maybe both. It definitely explains that frantic, kind of improvised feel, though.
Totally. And speaking of improvised, the script itself, writer Charles B. Griffith and Corman, they wanted a horror comedy. Apparently brainstormed ideas in downtown dives.
You can just picture it. Griffith pitched some other ideas first, right? Something called Cardula.
Yeah, a vampire music critic. And another one, Gluttony, about a salad chef who cooks his customers.
Okay, wow. That last one got rejected, probably for good reason with the censorship code back then.
Definitely. Griffith said the man-eating plant idea finally popped up when they were both drunk. His word.
Well, sometimes that works. And the original title was going to be The Passionate People Eater.
Yeah, captures that vibe perfectly, doesn't it? That dark, funny thing they were going for.
It really does. And the casting followed that kind of spirit, too. Corman used his usual group of actors, his stock actors.
Right. Jonathan Hayes as Seymour, Jackie Joseph as Audrey, Mel Wells as Mushnick. It gives it that repertory company feel.
But here's a fun fact. Dick Miller, who starred in A Bucket of Blood, Corman offered him the lead role, Seymour.
Oh, really? But he didn't take it.
Nope. He chose the smaller part, Burson Foch, the guy who eats the flowers.
Huh. Wonder why. That definitely changed the dynamic. And speaking of dynamics, what about all that ad-libbing? There's disagreement there, right?
Big time. Dick Miller swore his scenes with Mel Wells were all improvised. And the writer, Charles Griffith, who actually pops up in the film himself as the Robert Griffith, confirmed there was some improv. But Mel Wells, he was adamant, said absolutely none of it was ad-libbed. Every word was written by Chuck Griffith.
Oh, completely opposite stories from people who were right there. What do you make of that?
I think it just shows how chaotic it must have been. Maybe lines got blurred between script and improv on the fly.
Could be. It adds to the legend, anyway. And Griffith even put his own family in it. His dad's a dental patient.
And his grandmother, Myrtle Vale, plays Seymour's hypochondriac mother, Winifred. It's like a home movie, almost.
Totally DIY. And then, of course, there's Jack Nicholson.
Yes. The iconic dental patient scene. Wilberforce.
So memorable. Nicholson apparently knew he had to be super quirky because Corman wasn't even sure about casting him at first.
Right. And Corman, always practical, supposedly cut the scene short, just yelled, "Next set! That's a wrap!" Because the rented dental machine looked like it was about to fall over.
No time for method acting when the props are at risk. Classic Corman.
And that DIY approach went beyond the studio walls, too, the exterior shots, done over 2 weekends.
Yeah, Griffith and Wells directed those. Rented equipment cost them something like, what, $279?
Peanuts. And they were literally paying kids 5 cents to run away from a subway entrance. persuading winos to be extras for 10 cents.
Some of those guys apparently even became like production assistants for the other winos. Resourceful.
It gets darker, though. The funeral home that donated a hearse and coffin,
Yeah.
it apparently came with a real corpse inside.
Get out. Seriously.
That's the story. Talk about low-budget realism.
Okay, that's something else. Wow. And the train scene, too. Right. Bribing the crew with scotch.
2 bottles of scotch to get them to back the train up. Then they just printed the film in reverse. Genius, really.
So the whole budget, Corman said $30,000. Others guess anywhere from $22,000 up to maybe $100,000.
Which, even at the high end, is still only around $300,000 today. Crazy cheap.
Unbelievably cheap. They stretched every single dollar.
Okay, so that's the insane backstory. Let's actually talk about the plot, the movie itself.
Right, so it starts in this rundown flower shop on Skid Row, Mushnick's florist.
And Mushnick, played by Mel Wells, is about to fire his kind of hopeless assistant, Seymour Krelborn, Jonathan Hayes.
Poor Seymour. He's clumsy. Things aren't going well. Classic setup.
But Seymour has one last idea. He shows Mushnick the strange little plant he's been growing. Audrey Jr., he calls it.
Named after Audrey, the coworker he's sweet on, played by Jackie Joseph. He says he got the seeds from a Japanese gardener over on Central Avenue. Very mysterious.
And then comes the twist. Seymour accidentally pricks his finger, and the plant, well, it likes blood. Human blood. That's the only thing that makes it grow.
And grow it does.
Yeah.
Rapidly. And this weird bloodthirsty plant starts attracting customers. Business booms.
Suddenly, Mushnick changes his tune completely. Seymour goes from being fired to being Mushnick's beloved son. Mushnick even tells Seymour to call him Dad.
It's hilarious. Success cures all ills, or at least makes Mushnick opportunistic.
And this is where the horror really starts to blend with the comedy, right? Because the plant starts talking.
That unforgettable voice. Feed me.
Gives you chills, but it's funny too. And this forces Seymour down a dark path. He needs to feed the plant.
His first victim is sort of an accident. A drunk guy stumbles onto railroad tracks. Seymour maybe nudges him. Train comes. Splat.
But Seymour has to get rid of the body parts, chop them up for Audrey Jr., and Mushnick secretly sees him doing it.
Yeah, the stakes just keep getting higher. The plant demands more food. Seymour ends up killing Dr. Farb, the sadistic dentist.
After Mushnick conveniently sends Seymour to him for a toothache, Seymour claims self-defense on that one, I guess.
Kinda, sorta. And meanwhile, you've got these 2 cops, Sergeant Fink and Officer Stooley, investigating the disappearances. Very Dragnet-style deadpan comedy.
And the shop just gets more famous. Audrey Jr. is a sensation. Seymour is even going to get an award from the Society of Silent Flower Observers of Southern California.
Quite the title. But poor Seymour, he's racking up victims. There's the robber, Cloy Haddock.
Who Mushnick cleverly tricks into becoming plant food.
Right, and then Lenora Clyde, a streetwalker, who the plant actually hypnotizes Seymour into luring in.
He's losing control. He wants to stop. You can see the conflict, but Audrey Jr.'s got this power over him.
It's that Faustian deal, right? Fame and success, but at a terrible cost. So how does it all end? It gets pretty grim.
It does. The big finale is at the awards ceremony. It's sunset, and Audrey Jr.'s buds start to open.
And inside each bud is the face of one of the victims. Oh, it's grotesque.
Totally. And horrifyingly funny. The police finally put it all together. Seymour bolts.
He runs, they chase him, but he manages to slip away and heads back to the shop.
He confronts Audrey Jr., blames the plant for ruining everything. The plant just replies,
"Feed me, of course."
So Seymour, in this final kind of bonkers act of defiance, grabs a knife and climbs right into the plant's mouth, trying to kill it from the inside.
Okay.
Later on, the plant just withers and dies. But there's one last bud.
Uh-oh.
It opens, and it's Seymour's face inside screaming, "I didn't mean it!"
What an ending. Dark, weird, unforgettable. It really sticks with you.
It really does. But, even with that ending, getting the movie scene wasn't easy at first. Corman actually had trouble finding a distributor.
Really? Why? Too weird.
Some distributors, like AIP, American International Pictures, were apparently worried it might be seen as anti-Semitic because of characters like Gravis Mushnick or City Shiva.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But Mel Wells, who played Mushnick, he was Jewish himself.
Right. And he said he gave the character a specific Turkish Jewish accent and mannerisms, but he saw it all as playful humor, no malice intended.
Yeah. Context is everything there. So Corman ended up releasing it himself.
Through his own company, the Film Group, Took about 9 months after it was finished.
But it found its audience eventually, didn't it? In a kind of roundabout way.
Totally. It started gaining traction as the B-movie, the second film on a double bill, with Mario Bava's Black Sunday.
Ah, okay, so Black Sunday was a hit, and people stuck around for Little Shop and started talking about it.
Exactly. Positive word of mouth. It got paired later with Last Woman on Earth, too.
And the key thing, the really crucial thing for its long-term life, was the copyright issue.
Oh, absolutely. Corman, thinking it wasn't going to make much money after the initial run, just didn't bother to copyright it.
Wow. So it fell into the public domain.
Which meant anyone could show it, distribute it, copy it. That availability played a huge role in it becoming such a cult phenomenon over the years.
Talk about an accidental success strategy. Incredible.
And critics at the time were generally positive, too. Variety called the acting pleasantly preposterous.
Huh. That fits. And didn't Jack Nicholson say he went to a screening?
Yeah. He said the audience laughed so hard he could barely hear the dialogue. He realized then how funny it actually played, maybe more than they even knew on set.
That audience reaction tells you a lot. And his popularity just kept building, right?
Yeah.
Through TV showings in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, local TV stations played it constantly. New generations kept discovering it.
And then came the stage musical. That was huge.
Massive. The 1982 off-Broadway musical by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, that was a gigantic hit.
Which then led to the 1986 movie version, the one a lot of people probably know best, with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin.
Exactly. And the musical itself keeps coming back. Broadway debut in 2003, off-Broadway revival in 2019, countless tours and productions.
The story just has legs.
Yeah.
Or vines.
Right. There was even a kids' cartoon series for a little while in the 90s, Little Shop. Corman was a consultant on that.
No way. And it's been colorized a couple of times, too.
Yep. The 2006 version by Legend Films was pretty well done, apparently even got a theatrical showing. And of course, it's perfect fodder for Riff Track.
Oh, for sure. It's endlessly watchable and mockable, in the best way.
And it's still relevant. There was talk just this year, 2024, about a new reboot, Little Shop of Halloween Horrors, Joe Dante directing, Corman producing, before he sadly passed away in May.
Wow. Still going. And even that big UK Christmas ad last year, right? The John Lewis one?
Yeah, with the giant Venus flytrap character, Snapper,
right.
Directly inspired by Audrey Jr., its roots run deep in pop culture.
It really does. It tapped into something universal, that mix of dark humor and a kind of cautionary tale.
So, wrapping this up, The Little Shop of Horrors, it started as this frantic two-day wonder born out of pure necessity and maybe a little bit of booze-fueled brainstorming.
Yeah, this low-budget kind of crazy idea.
And it just grew, didn't it, into this absolute timeless cult classic. Its blend of genuine absurdity, dark laughs, and this weirdly compelling story about ambition.
Yeah.
It just works.
It really does. It makes you laugh, makes you maybe a little uncomfortable.
And it definitely makes you think, you know?
Yeah.
About what we're willing to do, what we're willing to feed for success or recognition.
Right. At what cost? And how often do the things we kind of create to fix our lives end up becoming these huge, hungry problems themselves?
It's a great kind of unsettling thought to leave you with. Sometimes the biggest monsters. Well, they aren't born, are they? They're grown. Carefully.